Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's Thursday. I'm GriffinGamingRPG. Thank you guys for joining me today. I was kind of weird. I don't know why my camera just didn't want to come on for some reason. That was strange. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. Today is our Star Citizen This Week episode, where we talk about things that are going on within the Star Citizen community. And it's also Therapy Thursday for those of you who want to come in and talk about issues you may have with Star Citizen or its development or the game, things that we can have a good time talking about. I hope you guys are having a good week. There's been a lot going on, a lot of excitement for stuff going on in general in gaming. I know, was it last week we had the release of Baldur's Gate, which many folks, including myself, have purchased and gotten into. I haven't gotten into it as much as I would like. I've had crazy schedule conflicts, making it kind of difficult to be able to get into the game. But I did get my character made. I did do maybe the first, felt like 30 minutes, but it was probably only like 10 minutes worth of gameplay. And so far so good. I enjoy it, but I've got a group of folks that I'm going to be playing Baldur's Gate with. Decided to I've been wanting to do something that's outside of the whole Star Citizen realm for a while, and been talking about doing some tabletop D&D, and that was kind of the plan that I've been talking about for several months with some folks. And then finally Baldur's Gate came out and they're like, well, hey, we could do it this way, but we could just do it in Baldur's Gate. And I'm like, okay, that's a decent compromise. You know, I can deal with that. So anyway, it'll be nice to be able to do something, just a different crew, and just, you know, go back into the old D&D thing, get mad at people, stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to Baldur's Gate. Wondering how many of you, hey Admiral, how are you? About to hit the beach. Oh, wow. Okay, going out today. Oh boy. Yeah, I guess it must be, well, you're in Cape Cod, so it must be nice there, because here it's terrible. It was 100 degrees here yesterday. I don't know what the heat index was. And then today, this morning at 9:30, it was already 90 degrees. You're supposed to get another 100 degree day here. So God bless you. If you're able to go out and enjoy the weather, fine. I was talking with one of my friends yesterday down in Texas, and he told me that their water temperature coming out of their pipes, you know, for what would be cold water, was 100 degrees. I can't even fathom that, okay? I really can't fathom when your tap water comes in at 100 degrees. That's just too hot. But anyway, let's see what else is going on. We had Gamescom. That happened this week. In fact, I've been meaning to, while we're sitting here, I'm going to bring this up because I did want to talk about this when the time comes. Let's see, let me type this in, that way it'll be ready to go. In fact, we're going to talk about this probably first. Curious to see what you guys thoughts and feelings are about this. Let's see if I can find it. I just had it a few minutes ago, and now I'm not finding it. Is this it here? Yeah, that's it there. Let me put that on pause. You know what? I need to get in my account because I'm going to get commercials on this account. So let me do this the right way. Let's go here. Bear with me, gang. I know you can't see what's going on. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain, okay? I know that there's some quick stuff going on here, some chicanery, but I need to find, where is it? Do I have it under here? Let's see. Yeah, there we go.
Really?
We can go with that one. All right, I'm going to hold that there for later. Okay, I'll put that there. Okay, so anyway, 74 and sunny. Oh my God, that's great. That's way better than, ugh. God, I wish I could say it was that way here. That's like my perfect temperature, somewhere around there. That is not the temperature here where I live, and I wish it was, God knows. But we're only supposed to get like a couple days of this really crazy weather, so hopefully relief will be on the way, but it has been hot the last couple days. Let's see. Let's give a shout out, if I'm not mistaken, if I heard correctly, want to give a shout out to Disco Lando. Yesterday was his birthday. I think that's what I saw Fast Card say. And Disco, if it was your birthday, happy birthday to you. Wish you many more trips around the sun. Hopefully you're doing well and health is going well and everything. Hopefully you had a great birthday and a great celebration with friends and those around you who care about you. So hopefully you had a great birthday. So congratulations to that. Hey, Montoya. So let's jump into a couple of subjects here real quick. Before we get into the whole Star Citizen this week, I talked about Baldur's Gate already. A lot of excitement about that. People are playing it. I've talked to somebody who actually told me they're done with it within their first week. I'm like, that's all I could say. Just I don't know where this thing of racing through games came from. I don't get it. Is it the endorphins? Is that what it is? That they've kind of implanted something in us that just makes us feel like we just have to fly through these games and not explore every nook and cranny like we used to back in the day? Yes, this is the old man talking. We used to explore those games every nook and cranny, and you were happy to say that you spent 3,000 hours, 2,000 hours, 1,000 hours. We weren't proud to say I finished in 20 hours. I'm going to finish Star Citizen in a week. Okay, I'm sure you will, Montoya. I'm sure you will. Okay, I tell you what, let's go ahead and jump into this first video because I really want to get some thoughts, what you guys think about what we saw at Gamescom this week. As you guys know, that kicked off. And there's a lot of anticipation for Starfield. So this was the Starfield trailer that was shown. And they did to me, I thought it was a nice job, but let's take a look at it and then we'll talk about it.
Flying 0 hour 9
Okay, I have a question before I get any further, before I get any deeper in this. Do you guys feel like they show too much in trailers? I mean, I know they want to draw you in, but it's sometimes I feel like it's kind of like a movie, a motion picture. Sometimes you watch a trailer and you're like hoping that whatever they showed you in the trailer was not the best bits, you know what I mean? The best parts. There were parts of that trailer, like to me, like I was intrigued watching the beginning, the pilot walking up to the little kid, the whole patch exchange, going out into space, flying around. That didn't bother me. But going into the one room where things got quiet, and then you could tell he was going up to probably the thing where the artifact is, Starfield, even the demonstration, they talk about this in here in the demonstration that, it opens up. They tell you how the game opens up and they let you go in and see the first part. I don't want any of that. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. But it's like, you could show me bits and pieces, but don't show the good stuff. Montoya, they'll tell you just enough. You'll find some relic with strange powers that does a thing. Yeah, I know. And we already know that. So since we knew that, I didn't need to see the scene. I don't know. I'm just weird about that for movie trailers these days. Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, Queen Amani. That's my daughter, y'all. The game is the game is spoiled. Okay, I don't know if it's spoiled, but that's just my 2 cents. Okay, they're gonna show Todd Howard, so let's jump into that. I wanted to ask that thing about game trailers to see if you felt like game trailers are sometimes like movie trailers, they show too much.
Starfield is ever so close, and thank you so much for that spectacular performance. Really appreciate you coming all the way for this.
If you don't know who that guy is, he's the guy who did the composition and music for Starfield, and they opened the sequence with him on the stage by himself playing a piano, and he played the intro, and then it went into the trailer. So that's why they were telling him thank you.
It's true. In just over a week, fans will start to play Starfield in early access on Xbox and PC. Well, I've been lucky enough to start playing it. Don't be jealous. I'm not allowed to say anything about it. Yes, exactly. All right. Well, guys. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys. Really disappointed. Very disappointed.
Now, when this happened, I thought this was a bit when I saw this at first. And then I realized, what is this thing with people? Okay, guys, I'm an old man. What is it with these people coming out of the audience and walking up on stage and feeling that they're entitled to come up and express their opinion about stuff? This guy walks up to the stage to, I want to play GTA 6. What is up with that? I got the whole game for free. It took me 1 minute to play it. I don't get that. I just don't understand. And then it's gamers now. You used to see stupid stuff like this at the music awards and stuff, but now it's like at video gaming. I don't know. Yeah, this man, try hard wannabe. Yeah, I just don't. Yeah. Anyway, that's just me.
That's just so disappointing. This is such a special night for so many developers, and it's really disappointing to see someone act that way. But we're going to move right on with the show. We've got a lot of great games to show you.
They need to start having like security, like bouncer security. You know what I mean? When you come up those stages, these guys tackle you. That's what they need to have happen, and that'll cut that stuff out.
Really, it's just so sad to me to see something like that happen. Tonight we're here to celebrate games in this community and how much they mean to us. So without further ado, I want to move right on with the show because we've got a lot to show you. And the good news, Gamescom, is we have someone very special here who can be here to talk about Starfield. Please join me in welcoming to Opening Night Live in Gamescom for the first time ever, one of our industry's greatest creators, the director and executive producer of Bethesda Game Studios. That's right, Todd Howard, everybody.
Woo-hoo, Todd Howard. Todd Howard, everybody. He's got a Starfield jacket on. That's pretty cool. Or a Starfield pin, maybe? Maybe it's a Starfield pin. It'd have been cooler if he had a Starfield jacket.
Todd, thank you so much for coming all this way to
it.
Gamescom. We have a lot to talk about with Starfield, but first of all, is this true? This is your first ever time at Gamescom?
This is my first Gamescom, and you were right. You said how great the crowd is here, and and just all the fans that come here for the biggest convention in gaming to celebrate games. And I figured, it is our first new franchise in over 25 years. So if I was going to come, it's for Starfield.
Appreciate that prime sub.
We all welcome you to Gamescom in Germany, and we're all very excited to step into this new world, Starfield, and the next week, early access. Set up for people, why did you want to make this game, Starfield? Why did you want to create a new world?
I think like a lot of gamers out there, we have dreamt of a game where we look to the skies and we can blast off into space and explore. We love to make games where we can explore these worlds. We've done like with the Elder Scrolls and the Fallout series, but we wanted to do something brand new where you could explore with complete freedom in the galaxy. It's a game we've always wanted to play that we think a lot of people wanted to play as well. It's kind of that
thank
dream
you for
game.
the prime sub.
Yeah, I wish I could talk about it, but it's quite an experience, and I know everyone here is very excited to jump in soon. You did bring some stuff to Gamescom to show to fans. I know there's a theater. Tell us, I know you've been, sharing a little bit about the game, but I know there's a lot you want people to discover when they play it. What did you bring here to Gamescom? Yeah,
it's really cool. We've built a 300-person seat theater where we're actually showing the beginning of the game. And you start out as a miner, and you touch this artifact that affects you in some way, where you see a bit into space-time, and then you get to create your own character. Our games are about creating and being whoever you want, and then you're off on adventure.
Yes, let's talk a little bit about this adventure. I know, people have been wondering kind of what the main quest line is going to be after you create your character, which is something that I know. I saw even someone on the internet this week created you, I think. Did you see that? Someone tweeted out a picture. They had somehow figured out.
I see a lot of things on the internet. I don't know. I'm not sure that's real.
Well, the thing is, I think you could literally create whoever you want and then enroll yourself into this adventure. And tell us about sort of how the adventure starts. What can we expect?
Well, you jump off. You're joining Constellation, which are the last kind of group of space explorers, like NASA meets Indiana Jones searching for these artifacts. But the story goes a lot of places. The game has a lot of surprises that we haven't talked about. I don't want to spoil them here, yes. But really, really happy with how the story turned out and where it goes.
Yeah, it's such an epic experience, and you and your team have done so much for this industry, and the fact that you guys have worked through COVID, building this and coming on the other end, we're so excited for everyone to get a chance to play it. So thank you for all you've done for our industry, Todd. Everyone, Todd Howard.
Thank you.
Todd Howard.
Can't wait for you to play the game.
Thanks so much, Todd. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting, I don't know if you guys heard this, but my understanding is someone leaked like an hour of gameplay online, and Bethesda fortunately was able to get it pulled. It's kind of sad, I don't know. I don't know what the balance is between gamers wanting to play a game and also at the same time spoiling the experience for themselves. I mean, to me, they spoil the experience for themselves, and maybe that's okay. If it is, that's what they want to do, it's okay. But I don't know. It's just always been a weird thing with me that that type of thing happens. I'm hoping that this is also something that Todd. There was another interview they asked Todd about what else he would want to do after this, and he mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, other than Skyrim, well, working on this obviously, but if he did do Skyrim, that would probably be the last thing that he would do. Todd's getting older, for one. Secondly, it takes a lot of work to do this stuff, and these are franchises that they're building, right? I think they want Skyrim to be like Fallout, like Skyrim. They want Starfield to, did I say Starfield? I hope I did. They want Starfield to be around for a very, very long time. And obviously they're building it out so that they can add more chapters to it and extend the range and time of it existing. And so, with the modders wanting to do stuff and then them putting out their own DLCs, hopefully Starfield will be a success. Hopefully it'll be around 10 years from now, maybe even 20 years from now, that it's a game that people still want to play. I hope that is the case. I'm really struggling with the single player RPGs recently. I tried to play a couple. I just started playing Outer Worlds about 2-3 months ago. And I got through the first chapter of it and got through the first part and got my ship and took off and lost interest. After I did the first thing, it was like, I don't know. Maybe it's the game. Maybe the game just didn't hold my interest. I know it's rated very well. A lot of people who played it said they liked it, but it just did not draw me back in. And I'm starting to think that for me, I'm seeing me do that with a lot of games. I'll start playing them, I get them, and then I get in them, and then I just lose interest. And I'm wondering if that's because I've gotten to the place now where the games I enjoy are games when I'm playing with other people. So if it's an MMO, something where I'm interacting with other players, I'm just enjoying that way more at this stage of life. And maybe it's because I started out back in the day when there were no MMOs and all you could do was play a game by yourself. So nowadays it almost feels like I'm going back to that. And I want to enjoy some of these games because they look really, really interesting, but they just don't hold my interest long enough. And it's a shame because I have all these games in my Steam library, and I never really dig into some of them. So I don't know. Maybe I need to go see, maybe I need to have my own therapy. I don't know what the deal is with that. But anyway, that is that. So we talked about Baldur's Gate 3. We've talked about Starfield, which is just around the corner, September 6th coming out. And I guess we can go ahead and jump into our Star Citizen stuff. Yeah, I keep feeling like there's something else, but we'll go to Star Citizen. So as you guys know, Ship Showdown started just over a week ago. And originally it started out with community submitting pictures, photographs, images, artwork, Legos, whatever they wanted to, of what they felt their favorite ship was. And that was just kind of like an open thing that people could submit whatever they wanted. Well, now the actual ship showdown with the tier ranking has started. It started on yesterday, and it's interesting what they have on the tier. I had a conversation with a few people yesterday about this, debating about why CIG picks the ships that they do. I don't necessarily know if I agree with some of the reasons I heard, because I can't figure out what the method behind the madness is. One person said, well, they do this to create controversy, to create conversation, to create people to go look, which could be true. But to me, it's also like if they did something that made sense, it would draw people too. Instead of people being turned off by it, people would be excited about it. So let me first go there. By the way, we'll talk about this screen we're looking at in a second, because the whole sea is making me really excited because that's right around the corner. Let's go here. Back to Ship Showdown. And let's talk about the tournament. Let me go down to the tiers. Yesterday, I knew this was going to happen. Okay, let's talk about the tiers before we talk about today. Yesterday was the Fury, the Mirai Fury against the Anvil Arrow, and as I figured, the Arrow won. The reason why I have problems with the way CIG does this is, and by the way, if you guys want to come in and talk to me, there's a link there that you can click on that will allow you to come into my Discord and we can chat. It'll put you in there. We'll talk about it. Putting the Fury and the Arrow together, first of all, is a mismatch. And that's the problem I have with a lot of the ships that are here. They're mismatched. The Arrow, as you guys know, has quantum ability, where the Mirai does not. It's considered a snub fighter to a certain degree. And so I've got issues with that. I know somebody just popped in. I don't know if you want to come in and talk or not. If you do, I'll come in and talk to you. So I have problems with that. That was the first thing. Secondly, the Mirai has just been implemented into the game, and there really isn't any. I mean, there could be gameplay for it, but because it's a ship that has to be transported by other ships, it's kind of like a cool factor to have for later and not now, where the Arrow is very actively being used in the game right now. So to me, it was like the Arrow was going to be a shoe-in. The Mirai had no chance. The Mirai is a cute little ship, and a lot of people like it, but it hasn't proven itself in the verse, where the Arrow is kind of like one of the top fighters that people use in the Star Citizen community. So to me, not a good match. Today's match is the Scorpius and the Redeemer. Not sure how you guys feel about that. If anybody has any thoughts on it, feel free to pop it into the chat and let me know, or you could pop into the Discord and let me know. But for me, is this a balanced fight? I got problems with this one too. One is more of a heavy assault ship. The other one is a fighter, heavy fighter. I don't know. I guess you could get away with it. I guess they both say heavy, you know. I don't know. What do you got, Sabat? Redeemer, because the Antares deserves. Well, this is the Scorpius, not the Antares. So they went with the heavy fighter, okay? So, you know, they're going with the heavy guns. I guess that's what they're looking for, Sabat, is the thing that they have in common. I don't know. They're both multi-crew to a certain degree, even though the Redeemer is like really multi-crew. So I don't know on that one. The Scorpius hasn't had a chance to, I don't know. The Redeemer has had some time to prove itself in game. The Scorpius is still, I don't know if the Scorpius is that ship that people do. I know people do use the Antares, though. I know there's some pirates out there that'll use the Antares, but I don't know about the Scorpius proving itself yet. Excuse me, in game. I don't know. I got to think about that one before I vote myself. I'm really not sure about that one. Then they've got the Reclaimer and the Vulture. Now, see, that's interesting because they're going, you know, with the two salvaging ships. So I guess you could say it's Drake versus Aegis. But one is a single solo ship, or small compared to the other, the Reclaimer. They both do the same thing. It's not like one does something more than the others. This that one has the capacity of just holding more, but they do the same thing. So I'm not sure about that matchup even. Maybe it's just a matter of what people prefer. Do they prefer being on a Redeemer and salvaging, or being in the not Redeemer, Reclaimer, or whether they prefer being in a Vulture? Okay, I get it. Maybe. Terrapin and Carrack, two broken ships, and what I mean by that is that neither one of them is doing what they're supposed to do in the game. The Terrapin is a Pathfinder, and the Carrack is an exploration ship. Not really a Pathfinder per se. I guess it could be to a certain degree. But the Terrapin doesn't have its scanning package working. Its armors, plating, and aspects doesn't work. The heat dissipation, all that stuff's not there. Long range scanners and sensors aren't there. The Carrack doesn't have the cartography working. The drone room doesn't work. The repair room doesn't work. None of the exploration stuff is working. Navigation stuff isn't working. Sensors aren't working. So right now they're just two cargo ships. One's bigger than the other one. That's about it for me on that one. So again, very tough. Now, if you want to talk about in theory, they're still in two different categories. So I don't know what the comparison is there. The Mercury and the constellation Andromeda. This gets a little bit closer, even though again, two different categories. The Mercury is a data runner cargo ship. The constellation Andromeda is a multi-role, multi-crew ship. I don't know. I'm not swallowing that one too well either. Okay. When I get down further, I'll talk about this other ship, but I got problems with that one too. But if it's just a matter of what people like and they want to judge it on that, I guess they can get away with that. Cutlass Black in the 400i. I'm sorry. Am I reading that wrong? I read it wrong. I'm sorry. Oh God, please forgive me, guys. I'm blind as a bat. It wasn't the Mercury and the Connie. It was the Mercury and the Corsair. That's what I should have been saying. Corsair's an exploration ship, which doesn't have any of its exploration stuff in it. Mercury doesn't have data running in it. They both just basically move people around. People like them. I think people will probably vote for this is a tough one, because the MSR is kind of like the standard that people like to jump into in a small group, but the Corsair is becoming that because of its firepower. But people hate it because it can be a glass cannon sometimes with the wings and stuff. So I'm going to go with Mercury, probably will MSR again, even though I wish it would be the Corsair just to have something different. Now, to me, the matchup should have been Corsair to Andromeda. That would have been a better matchup to me than the Mercury. But that's just me. And I may have put the Mercury Star Runner, the Mercury with the 400i maybe, but I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, let me skip past that. Cutlass Black. Yeah, now Cutty Black and Mercury would have went better to me, because people like to pop into both of those ships and do stuff, even though one's a data runner and one's a multi-purpose. But I guess they put the Constellation and the Cutlass Black together because they're both multi-crew, multi-purpose. I think people will probably go for I hate to say this, people will go for the Cutlass Black before they'll go for the Andromeda. The affordability is a big factor there for that ship. It's a way more easy entry point at $110 versus the Connie at $225. So I think the dollar amount's going to have a factor on that. 400i versus 600i. That's another weird one to me. Two ships that are both explorers, one of which, the top one, the 400i, well, both of them, neither of them have their scanning or their exploration packages in. A lot of people have grown to like the 400i, even though they didn't think they would in the beginning. A lot of people have grown to not like the 600i, even though the rework is coming for it. I hate to say it. I'm going to say 400i, even though I'm a 600i person. 400i's got all of its stuff in place, and people are going to go with that more than the 600. People are not happy with the design layout in the 600i. And last but not least, the Cutter. This was the craziest matchup out of all of them. The Cutter versus the 890 Jump. Oh my God, what a weird matchup. One of the smallest ships in the game sat next to one of the biggest ships in the game, one of the most inexpensive ships in the game, matched up to one of the most expensive ships in the game. So if you eliminate all that talks about the differences between the two, one's a single person ship starter, one is another one that can hold 50 people, whatever. It's going to be the cutter. It's going to be the cutter. Cutter's going to beat the 890. And you guys know I'm an Origin man, Origin man. But the Cutter's going to win that. Cutter is extremely popular. I don't own one, but I know it's extremely popular, and I know why it's popular. And yeah, that's my prediction on that. So anyway, let's see. Let me give you my prediction for next week. And if I'm wrong, we'll find out. But I'm going to go with Scorpius. Yeah, I'm going to go Scorpius. I'm going to go Scorpius because X-Wing factor is still in some people's minds. Redeemer has had its moment where people were really pumped up about it, but it got nerfed. And so a lot of people don't pile into a Redeemer. I hear people jumping into ships like a Hammerhead faster than I ever hear people saying, oh, let's go get in the Redeemer. So I think that's going to be it. Plus, the Scorpius gives people that affordability of single play or dual play a little bit more than a Redeemer. There are people that will go out with a Redeemer by themselves, but it's not really reaching its potential unless you got people manning all the guns in it. So I'm going to go with Scorpius for next week. So let's see. Next week, we will see what happens. And yeah, we'll go with that. It's nice they got a little thing in here for highlighting the votes this time around. That's pretty cool. Okay. That's pretty neat. They could do that. Okay. All right. So anyway, that's what's going on for Ship Showdown. Let's see what else we have here. I think it's the spotlight. We did this last week talking about salvaging as being the spotlight for this month. That's going to be wrapping up this month, in fact. Let's jump into CitizenCon because we have not really talked about that again. Tickets are still available for CitizenCon. This year, we haven't had an in-person CitizenCon since 2019, 2018, 2019. 2019 was the last time. And so back then, the convention was a one-day event. CIG this year, for the first time, has expanded it to a two-day event. In the early days, for people like myself, hey, Yo, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Back when I went to my first CitizenCon in 2015, one-day event, it only lasted about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, maybe at the most. We were at the Avalon Theater, and I remember standing in line starting at 10 that morning. I think we went in around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I think we wrapped up around 4 or 5 that afternoon. Then there was like hanging out, and they had a bar there and stuff like that. And that was it. That was the whole day. It was just in that day. When we went in 2018, it expanded further in Austin. Much bigger event. It was at the Austin Convention Center. CIG introduced a 2-tiered ticketing system that year too, if I'm remembering correctly, where they had the VIP seats, and they were VIPs, is that what they called them? I don't know, but basically the difference was that if you got the higher price seats, you sat down on the main floor and you had a goodie bag with some stuff in it. And if you had the regular seats, I think it was like $110 for the VIP and $80 for the regular seats. Regular seats, you just sat in the balcony or general seating, and you got a goodie bag too. And one bag was black, one bag was red. That was it. I think there's my bag over there still, believe it or not. And there were like maybe some slight differences in some of the goodie stuff, but in general, it wasn't anything worth. Is it worth another $30? No, it wasn't that big of a deal. So anyway, that was the deal. Yeah, I'm doing good too. Thank you. I'm glad you're able to come by too, Yo. And Yo, I'm so excited about you being able to go to CitizenCon this year. I really think you're going to enjoy yourself. So anyway, this year they've expanded to 2 days. Last time we did it in Austin too, I remember it was a full day. It was a very, very long day, in fact. And if you guys remember, they ran 2 sessions simultaneously during that convention. So even though there were like 8 sessions or 10 sessions, you only could watch or attend one, because while one was going on, another one was going on physically if you were there. So you couldn't see everything while you were there. If there were 5, I can't remember if there were 8 or 10. Let's just say there were eight sessions. That meant you went to 4. The other 4, you had to wait till you came home and watch it on YouTube. This year, they're going to break it down into 2 days, which I'm assuming means that they're going to have sessions for Saturday and sessions for Sunday. And that would make a lot more sense. Not to mention, for those of you who don't go to the convention, you get 2 days of viewing instead of 1 day of viewing, which will be pretty cool. You get to stay in the nice comfort of your home and keep your money in your pocket that you would have spent on the CitizenCon to spend on another ship, maybe. Who knows? But anyway, tickets are still on sale. If you want a ticket for the event, I think the tickets are still $199. We're going to be at the Los Angeles Convention Center. Okay. This picture here, you hear, this is community booths. This was actually from when they were in Germany, if I'm not mistaken, in 2019. This is when they started doing the marketplace. Okay. And what they did in 2018 was they only allowed 5 vendors in 2018. They allowed, I think it was Atlas Defense Industries, Test Squadron, Atmo Esports, Sigelian's Ultima Fuel, and then there was maybe, I think, one other one. I think. It was either 4 or 5 vendors. That was it. That was the first year they did that. And they had them all in this one little small area. And it was a very popular thing. People came by to see them and talk and get swag and all that good stuff. I remember working up at the Test Squadron table for like 2 hours, like hour and a half, 2 hours hanging out there. And a lot of people came by and asked questions. And it was cool to meet people from the organization and then other people in the community. But the next year they expanded it. It blew up. It blew up into a whole big area called the marketplace. This year they're doing something very similar. I don't think we can talk about it, Montoya, if you're still here. I know they sent us an email with some of the details, but I'm not sure we could talk about what that theme is yet. But there is a theme for the marketplace for people who have booths. So there'll be people who are content creators. There'll be orgs. There will be other people who are in the community who, I'm thinking when I saw the marketplace in 2019, there was a guy there who would inscribe stuff in Banu for you, or translate things. People would do all types of vendors. And they had food, drink, all that other stuff there. So this year they're doing another themed marketplace, which really sounds interesting. The theme sounds really cool. If I could remember, I'd tell you, but I can't remember if we were told not to say something about it or not. But they are doing something very cool. Cosplay. For those of you who are into that, some folks go all out on the cosplay. I mean, all out, as you can see by this picture here. They get their 3D printers going and they get their needle and thread growing and they make some really wild stuff. And it's a lot of fun. We had one guy one year, a few years back, he came dressed as a citizen of Hurston, and he had the bag over his head. And everybody kind of like, what? And then we all kind of got it. We laughed. We're like, oh my God, he's wearing the Hurston bag on his head, which was pretty cool. And then they're doing something new this year. They did this last year online, Fight or Flight, where they did competition. And this year they're incorporating that into CitizenCon. So here they say, we're very pleased to announce we're teaming up with Atmo Esports to bring Fight or Flight to CitizenCon 2953, the high-octane dogfighting tournament 2 versus 2. We'll have an epic presence on the show floor, complete with ways to spectate and enjoy the commentary. So that's going to be something different to be able to see. As again, they got 2 days now. They got to fill those 2 days up with content. Your tickets, if you want to get your access ticket, you get 2 days. It's a 2-day ticket event admission, October 21st and 22nd. You will get a $29.53 digital goodies pack. You'll get a physical swag bag and other fun surprises. I have no idea what those surprises may be, but excuse me, CIG says they're going to be fun. So we'll see. The general admission, general access ticket is still available for $199. The premium tickets, as you guys know, those were sold out at $299. The difference between that was that there was VIP lounge access at the event, VIP physical swag bag, and you get to go to an after party that CIG is having at their studio on the 22nd. For those of you who have that. I'm not sure if they're going to do the other VIP lounges. They've done concierge lounges in the past, so it'll be interesting to see if they do that again. Don't know. If you don't know what I'm talking about. what they did was they created little areas, private areas for you, depending on what level of concierge you were. So if you were a space marshal, or if you were a, I don't know, what's the word, Navam, Legatus, whatever, Praetorian, they had these like private areas. Like it was like a bar, and you could go there with other people that were in that category of what you were, just hang out and talk to them. And it was a little bit more, it was more quieter and more laid back. It had its own bar there for you and stuff, but you could still go out in the general area. There wasn't anything special going on in those areas. So it was just kind of a place to sit down and have a drink with some people and talk with them. That was it. Okay. Okay. That's it for CitizenCon, I think. Yeah, that's the bottom of the page. There's the disclaimer. So hopefully, if you're not going to CitizenCon, hopefully that means we know you will tune in and watch it. 2 days. You got to be glued down to your computer for a Saturday and a Sunday to take it all in. Let's see. There was one more thing here that I want to talk about. Let's see. The new player guide. Is this the old stuff? Yeah, this is old stuff. You guys know about the new player guide. Really curious as to how many people got a chance to do the guide system. I signed up for it, and I did not get a chance to really jump in the way I would have wanted to during Foundation Month or Foundation, whatever it's called. I really hated that I didn't get to do that because even though I know you get the skins and all that other good stuff, I just really want to get in and just kind of help some players get into the game and whatnot. Maybe I'll get to do it next time when that comes around, but maybe some of you guys got a chance to monkey around with that. But I heard it was fun times for a lot of people. Let's see. Let's go to Roadmap Roundup, because there is some interesting news in here. Happy Wednesday. As always, you guys know the regular intro that we get from the community team. Every 2 weeks, they will accompany Roadmap Roundup with a brief explanation note. So I'm going to just jump right into the notables here. That have been added to the release view as of August 23rd. This was on yesterday. Pardon me. The following cards have been added to the release view in the 3.20 column, targeting a launch with Alpha 3.20.x. They have added, finally, the Crusader C1 Spirit, building, balancing, and implementing Crusader Industries' small multi-crew cargo ship, the C1 Spirit, into the game. This was exciting news because when CIG announced in 3.20, which I'm going to try to bring up on a different page. We're here. Come on, baby. Let's go. Under ships and vehicles, what was here? Yeah, they've added stuff. Okay, so what was here was the A1 and the Hull C. Those were the two that we knew about, and even though we knew the Hull C was coming, and people were, of course, like, oh, finally, the Hull C after all these years. But the A1 threw folks for a loop, and people kind of felt like this seems a little backward. It would seem like it's a lot easier to produce a cargo ship than to produce the A1 that has all these mechanics for these bomb drops and all this other stuff. And I kind of felt the same way. I was kind of a little surprised that I was like, okay, between the E1 and the A1, I get maybe the A1 because bombing is in the game, so they've already started down that path. You know, the thing with transport and touring, like for the Starliner, the Genesis and stuff, that's not in. The E1 is supposed to be the kickoff for that new career. So, okay, they're still working on it. I get that. But then they didn't put the cargo variant in. And I'm kind of like, okay, the cargo variant is just cargo space. Now, maybe there's some method to the madness, but let me tell you guys about another time that happened in the development history. And that was with the Constellation series of ships. They put out the Constellation Andromeda first. Then after the Andromeda, we got the Phoenix and the Aquila, right? But then we didn't get the Taurus. And the Taurus, you would think, would have been a no-brainer because it was just a cargo variant. But that was the last ship that they put out then. And people who were Taurus owners, because cargo and trade was something that people were doing in the game, in their own way, right? Not officially, but they were doing it. They wanted their Tauruses. And it took forever for the Taurus to come out. Now, I don't know why, why that was put on the back burner. But for some reason, cargo was not necessarily the easiest thing to do, I guess. And so here we've got a similar thing. Now, don't get me wrong. There are things that they put into the game for us to test them. That's why they're there. And cargo is already tested. So, is there a big urge to put another cargo ship in the game? Not really. That game mechanic is done. Now, if it's just to test the ship to make sure that the grid works and all the components and stuff work, yeah, of course we want to see that come into the game. But as far as going after that game mechanic, we know it works. Where the A1, on the other hand, is bringing in a new type of bombing, the carpet bombing style of bombing, that we don't have in the game. We do have the regular airdrop right from the C2, but the A2 is introducing a new game mechanic. So maybe that's why it was pushed to the forefront. And now, it's only been a month later, they notified us that, hey, we are going to put the C1 on the progress tracker so we can start looking to have that. That's tentative. So it will come out at some point doing 3.2.0 point something, not in the very beginning. The good news is for those of you all is that the Hull C is committed, as you guys see here. All tests required for the implementation of the Hull C of the cargo vessel. Committed means it is deliverable. It's going to happen. No question about it. It's lined up to come in the patch. There are other things in here. The wheeled vehicle handling improvements. I'll come back to this. Let me finish off with the roadmap first, then we'll come back and talk about that. The other thing is the Tumbril Storm. Building and implementing and balancing the Tumbril's light tank, the Storm, as a game-ready vehicle. So this will also be brought in to 3.2.0 point something, 0.1.2, whatever the case may be. We know CIG's been working on this. When they debuted it to the community, Disco was very quick to let us know that what we saw in the animation that we saw was not just an animation. It was in-engine. It was real. So they are moving pretty quickly with this particular vehicle. And I'm sure there are plenty of people who are going to be excited about this. I'm hoping that the introduction of this ship, unlike with the Nova Tank is designed to be a multi-crewed vehicle. And it's probably one of the reasons why you don't see it out there very often. People will take it out from time to time, but there's really nothing out there really to be fighting over, doing tank battles over. But this, on the other hand, this Tumbril Storm, I know it doesn't seem like much, but I think that because people can get in there on their own and do stuff with it, they're going to be guarding places, bunkers. They're going to be doing it for Jump Town. I think this thing's going to be flooding the place, to be honest with you. So excited to see that. Okay, so that's what's going to be the changes. That's all that's in this week's roadmap roundup. Let me go back to talking about the release view again, the 3.20, because this is something that everybody's anticipating. Excuse me. This is for third quarter, which, I know people keep saying, when are we going to get it? And I've said since the beginning that I think 3.20 will definitely drop prior to CitizenCon. I don't think it's going to spurt into that. Technically, we know Evocati's been testing it already. First, they were starting out on Arena Commander. Now they are testing 3.20. And so I think that it's a pretty good chance that we're going to see this probably, I don't know if we'll see it by the end of this month, but we'll see it in September. That's my thoughts. And there are a couple other reasons why. They need to get this patch out, first off, because we are in quarter three. Quarter three would have been July, August, September, right? And so they need to make sure they get it out by that time because CitizenCon is coming up. CitizenCon usually debuts either what they're going to drop in late October or what's going to be coming up by the end of year or January. So I think it would be kind of a bit much to wait to drop 3.20 with stuff that we already know about, that we already know is coming. That's nothing new to see at CitizenCon. They may show us the tank and the Hull C being used in some type of presentation, which would be great. And maybe even the C1 and what's the other one? The A1. We may see even those being used in the presentation. But I think that CitizenCon's presentation is going to be more about quarter four and what's leading up into next year for 2025. That's just my 2 cents opinion on that. Okay. Okay, that covers the release view. We covered roadmap roundup, I think. And let me see, was there one more thing on here? Oh, I know what it was. Got to go back. Star Citizen this week. This here, Life Labor, the Secret History of Hurston Dynamics. On Soul Citizens, last month, we did a thing on Hurston and talked about them. But I think it's interesting. My good friend Colossal loves this place. He loves the lore of the Hurstons. But I did want to talk a little bit about some of this. Some of you guys know that CIG, when they did this whole revamping of Loreville, it was expanded for several reasons. One, because it just needed to be expanded for playability, so that there are things that we can do, buildings we can go in, locations we can visit, POIs and stuff like that. But there's also lore that dictates about how Hurston and Loreville is built, how the Hurstons have built Loreville. As you guys notice, when you go into Hurston or into Loreville, I keep saying Hurston, go into Loreville. If you go into where the big Hurston Dynamics building is, it's built up around these really nice looking buildings, right? They're glass. They've got like this illumination, this gold yellow illumination on them, similar to what you see on the screen right now. There are big gold statues out there representing various members of the Hurston family. All that stuff is there. Well, basically they've designed that city to be where the wealth and power is in that center. And as you go out, you start working your way out to where who would be considered the working class or the common people are. And so there is a bit of I don't know what the word is to say, authoritarian rule here, but it's also voluntary. You know, you go there to work because you want to get work and you sign the contract, but then you're also under the foot of the Hurston family and their rules. And it's interesting because Colossal mentioned a point to me that I hadn't noticed very much. And he was talking about all the chaos that was going on over by Port O and Crusader and Microtech. And he says, yeah, but you don't see that stuff happening over in Hurston, do you? And I'm like, you know, he's right. Hurston security, they don't play, right? You know, how many times have you been stopped when you're going to Everest Harbor by Hurston security? I mean, Hurston security will catch you in atmosphere. They'll catch you, you know, pulling into the station. They'll catch you landed in the station. Security is a serious business in Hurston. And I didn't really pay attention to that. I really didn't. It caught me off guard. And then I said, wait a minute, he's right. You know, you get harassed over by Microtech in Porto all the time, but man, nobody's messing with you too much over at Hurston. So whether that's just a thing that happens coincidentally or whether it's, you know, they're building that out to be a real thing is pretty interesting. Anyway, I want to talk about this little thing about the Maria Pure of Heart stuff. I'm not going to read this whole thing because there's a lot of information here, but you guys check this out when you get a chance, because the lore in Hurston is actually interesting. Even if you don't live there, it's good for you to kind of be up on this stuff. But this is chapter 8, Maria Pure of Heart, you know, the hospital. You know, if you guys ever go to that hospital, it's like a sick beauty, right? I mean, it's a really nice looking place and everything, but it's also very oppressive to a certain degree. Kind of has that whole, not industrial feel. It's not the word I'm looking for. What's the word, guys? There's an architectural design, it's brutalist. It's got this like kind of a really rough feel when you're in there. You know, it's like a cold feel. You know, maybe that's a better way of putting it. It's a very cold feel. Yeah, it would be cool if it's intentional, yo. I agree. All right, Maria Pure of Heart. Dubious of purpose? You can't marry her. Maria has class, but little else. She's nothing but trouble. This is from Alton Hurston, okay? In 2799, Jasper Hurston married 22-year-old Maria Wharton in an act of defiance against his family, and specifically his father, Alton. Though one of his boldest confrontations, it would be his last. Jasper's independent streak and inclination to put Maria before his family would eventually lead to him being swept into the dustbin of Hurston family history. No plaque or statue commemorates him in Loreville, but in a strange twist of fate, Maria Pure of Heart's medical facility would be named in honor of the woman he was once told not to marry. Okay, so if you guys get this, Alton was one of the Hurstons, and Alton decided he wanted to marry this woman named Maria, right? Maria Wharton. Family was objectionable to it. They were like, no. You know, look at what the quote is from Alton. You can't marry her. Maria has class, but little else. That's all she's got, right? Nothing but trouble. And anyway, to make a long story short, this marriage was not something that was going to be good. Let's continue on. Alton Hurston's assessment of Maria Wharton was hyperbolic, but based on a kernel of truth. The Wharton family had once been a fixture in the upper echelons of society, only to lose their status due to their vocal opposition to the Messer government. The family's construction firm rose to prominence by building a spaceport in Quinton on Angeli in the Crochow system. A stream of lucrative government contracts followed, with their most famous being the design and construction of the biodomes that enclosed JUDE in the Davian system. Yet, the Wharton construction empire would crumble after being blacklisted by the Messer regime following their refusal of a contract to build an internment center they denounced as inhumane. When Maria was born in 2777, her family lived in a tenement high-rise in the JUDE and struggled to survive. Her parents were prominent anti-Messer activists. Guys, let me do this for you because I'm just realizing that screen is kind of small. Is that better? Hopefully that's better. There we go. When Maria was born in 2777, her family lived in a tenement high-rise in JUDE and struggled to survive. Her parents were prominent anti-Messer activists who spoke openly about how the regime destroyed the Wharton legacy due to their dissent. A picture of a defiant teenage Maria and her parents protesting in the streets of JUDE when the Messer regime was overthrown in 2792 was circulated widely on Spectrum. She became a minor celebrity and used the attention to land lucrative promotional deals that helped raise her family out of poverty. She also leveraged her newfound fame to become a vocal proponent of a variety of progressive political causes, which is why her decision to marry into the Hurston family shocked many close to her. Though Maria would go on to fight for improved medical care for all Hurston employees, friends would criticize her for allying with a company that seemed to embody everything she believed was wrong with the empire. Some historians have even questioned whether she stopped fighting for truly revolutionary reforms at Hurston for the sake of her own name and reputation. Okay, so, excuse me. Obviously, you guys can see where there was some definite problems. She seemed to be this person who was anti-Messer and against the regime. The family obviously took a position of not wanting to take a contract from them because they wanted to build an internment camp. But ultimately, Maria does this move to marry into the family of the Hurstons, which people were kind of like, okay, you're marrying into the enemy. What's up with that? But it's kind of like an oxymoron, right? She builds this hospital to take care of the medical patients. But I don't know if you guys ever listen to the speakers when you're in the hospital, but they're like, yeah, you need to be healthy. We want you to be healthy so you can go back to work. That's the reason why they want you to be healthy. They really want you to stay healthy and be in a good space so that you can make them more money. That's it. So all the great medical facility and stuff is there and it's great, but it's not there for your welfare. I know that's a bad word for some people, but welfare is it's supposed to be a good thing. It's supposed to be for the common wellness, the wellness of people. But it's not about that. It's about basically get better so you can come back to work for us, okay? We can read a little bit more of this. Agent of Chaos. In 2786, Olivia Hurston convinced the company board to install her younger brother, Alton, as CEO. Transcripts from the closed-door meeting reveal Olivia sold the idea by describing Alton as an ideal stopgap CEO who could keep their chair warm until the board found an ideal person to lead the company into the 29th century. Olivia hoped to convince her son, Desmond, to join the company and ultimately be groomed for the position. Yet she worried that naming Alton CEO would increase the chances of his enterprising son Jasper attaining the position. So Olivia worked with the board behind her brother's back to stonewall Jasper's career by transferring him away from the corporate headquarters on Earth to the Davian office. Jasper languished there for many years, knowing his career was in trouble if his CEO father couldn't rectify the situation. He contemplated leaving the company to make a name for himself another way until one fateful night when he met Maria Wharton. A mutual friend introduced Jasper and Maria, and they bonded over a deep shared sense that family history and politics were working against both of them. When they married in 2799, Maria convinced Jasper to stay at Hurston to focus on being a force for good. Meanwhile, she leveraged his status to further bolster her celebrity and reputation by holding lavish charity events that highlighted her as much as the cause. She admitted to loving the attention and justified using the events to raise her profile by telling the Terra Gazette that, "I understand the importance of your name and reputation. My family had theirs destroyed by standing up for what was right. So, if I can now attach mine to a cause I truly believe in and get us both a bit of attention, then I consider that a win-win. More people will learn about a great cause, and more people will learn about me and hopefully take an interest in other initiatives I support." In 2803, Jasper's mid-level management position with Hurston involved examining a rash of new laws passed at the system and local level that strengthened environmental protections and workers' rights. As part of a team tasked with assessing whether these new laws would be cheaper to comply with or fight in court, Jasper saw the extent of Hurston's predatory labor and devastating environmental practices that had been allowed under the Messer regime. He shared his confidential information with Maria, who was likewise horrified. Worried that a leak would be immediately tied back to Jasper, the two contacted a Terra Gazette reporter with the names of several former Hurston employees who were overbooked after suffering severe injuries in an explosion at a Hurston weapons manufacturing plant. The subsequent article brought to light off-booking, a predatory labor practice used by Hurston to avoid an employee's life and labor contract so that the company longer had to provide housing or health care. The story revealed that the company kept meticulous records on each employee, documenting even minor infractions, like taking unauthorized bathroom breaks, or, to use its justification for the firing and releasing of them, any liability to cover their medical bills. Following the story and subsequent public scandal, Maria publicly announced that she would host a fundraiser to help pay for the health care of workers who were off-booked. This established reputation and public admonishment of the company made headlines across the empire, leading Jasper and Maria to receive a comm from his father, Alton, requesting that they immediately visit him at Hurston's headquarters. Their gambit had worked. Okay, so we get the basics on that. And we can start seeing why the hospital ends up getting made too. This whole thing with Maria, she did enjoy the attention, but she felt like it was a win-win because if I get attention, people not only pay attention to me, but pay attention to the things that I speak out about and maybe eventually even support those things. We do see some little conniving here with the Hurston family when it comes down to, and this is a shame. So we talked about this last week, sometimes that science fiction mirrors real life, right? There are things happening in real life. And here's a company who basically finds ways to avoid having to take care of the health care and taking care of its employees. If they do some minor infraction, it voids it. And the good old Hurston family found a way to dodge the bullet, per se, and not have to take care of their employees, which is interesting. Let's read this last part on human capital. In the meeting, Maria agreed to stop publicly criticizing the company and cancel her event in exchange for two things. One, her working with the company to address the issue, and Jasper getting a transfer back to the headquarters. Alton and the board agreed, knowing that partnering with Maria on the issue would be a public relations win. The couple relocated to Earth, and in 2804, Maria oversaw and implemented the largest expansion of Hurston's healthcare program, which the company successfully spun as a sign of its willingness to embrace the ethos of the new empire. Yet Maria would privately admit that she compromised on several issues to get the deal done, and that it didn't didn't do enough to guarantee future coverage for those off-booked. Meanwhile, Jasper's standing with the company skyrocketed, though some initial family members resented that he achieved his status through public pressure applied by Maria. This faction opposed numerous manufacturing modernization initiatives spearheaded by Jasper, as well as Maria's attempts to further expand the company's healthcare policies. The couple pushed Alton to champion their agenda, but he stonewalled their efforts, clearly worried that submitting to their pressure would only get him ousted as CEO. By 2811, Maria was convinced that the real change would only occur with Jasper as CEO, and that he could only reach that position by the way Archibald Hurston did, through a ruthless corporate takeover. Jasper secretly met with family members who supported him and set out to convince a few he believed would be on the fence. Then one day, Alton called Jasper into his office and fired his son for plotting a coup against him and the family. Upon hearing the news, Maria stormed into Alton's office and demanded that Jasper get his job back. Exactly what happened next would become a point of contention within the family for years. Near the end of Maria's life, a confidant claimed she told him the truth of what happened. Allegedly, she threatened to expose the company for dumping toxic chemicals into a lake on Asura, which ruined the ecosystem and rendered its water unsafe to drink unless Jasper got his job back. Yet Alton made it clear that Jasper's political maneuverings made him a persona non grata within the company, and that while exposing the Asura incident would be bad for Hurston, it would also force the company to bury Maria and Jasper in lawsuits that could bankrupt them. In the end, Jasper would never work for the company again, but in 2812, Maria would help launch the Hurston Health Foundation, a charity focused on providing medical care to all former employees, including those who were off-booked. Today, some believe Maria prioritized her legacy above fighting for real change. Others argue that she made the best out of a bad situation and helped Hurston workers more than anyone else in the era. Regardless, Maria's name became one remembered and revered, thanks to, in large part, to Maria and Jasper's son, Chesterfield Hurston, who became one of the most powerful and venerated board members of the 29th century. Following Maria's death in 2880, Chesterfield announced that a new state-of-the-art medical facility being built in Lorville would be named in her honor. Many saw this as a fitting tribute to the woman who championed worker health care. Yet, others believed it to be a strategic move by Chesterfield to enshrine and ally himself with his mother's legacy instead of his father's. Much like the contentious relationship between Alton and Jasper, Chesterfield and Jasper famously feuded. Included on the fateful night, Jasper disappeared, leaving some to speculate that the Hurston family knows more about what really happened to Jasper than they publicly revealed. Okay. Whew, that was a lot of reading, gang, but you guys get it, right? Okay. So we get the whole history here of Maria Wharton, who became Maria Hurston, and ultimately how the Hurston Hospital came into play. Came out of, I don't know, did it come out of good intentions? Is it dubious of purpose? Because ultimately, as I mentioned, when you're in that hospital, all they want you to do is get better and get back to work. That's pretty much their motto. But anyway, that's that on that. Okay, let me go back to something else here. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm going to mention it because I was talking to some people a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about upgrades and stuff to the Mobiglass and talking about the website. And one of the things I shared was that CIG is trying to create a whole integrated process for how the Star Citizen world exists, both the real world and the game world. And one of the things I want to talk about that's on the website, we're going to do a show on this, I think, a little bit later. No, we did a show on this already on the RSI website. But I want to talk about this. People who may not play the game very much, better than nothing, agreed, may not know that the website is supposed to also be somewhat, I don't know, connected to the Star Citizen world. Hence why the website is called robertspaceindustries.com instead of called starcitizen.com, right? But at the top on the website, there's this area here that says apps. And ultimately, the idea is that these things tie into the game. So we do know, like currently, that you can go into your Mobiglass and you can communicate with people, right? That's the idea. But what they want is for Spectrum to also be an app that would be able to work in the Mobiglass. Galactopedia is going to be added as one of the tabs in your Mobiglass. The star map will be also another item in your Mobiglass. I don't know about like the telemetry. I don't know about the issue council. That would be nice. The roadmap, I don't know about that. The community hub, don't know about that. Spectrum. If you noticed in that article that we read about Maria Pure Heart, they talked about Spectrum as being the news agency. Spectrum is going to be more than just the forums. It's going to be our place of communication in the game. And that's supposed to be CIG has talked about that being in your mobiGlas. They've talked about coming up with an app where you can communicate on your mobile phone or your tablet or whatever if you're not in game. So all that stuff's supposed to be tied in together. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that because there's a reason why that's called apps up there. And a lot of people don't know to look there for things because who's going to look on a menu thing where you see apps? Usually there's just like games I get, right? Apps. If you don't know what that is, then you'll get it. Let's see. Star Citizen domain got took before CIG could get it. Ah! I'm sure that they that would have been looking for that way beforehand. But I do know that the Robert Space Industry thing was definitely a move on purpose. Okay, let's see. Where are we at now? I think we covered that. We did the release view. And I think that we are actually, we've covered everything from Star Citizen for this week that's been going on. As you guys know, on Thursday, we do a segment that we call Thursday Therapy. And Thursday Therapy is where if you want to come in and talk about anything that I talked about on the show, or if you want to talk about things that are going on in the game, if there are things that, I'm going to say this, bother you about Star Citizen, you can come in and talk to me about it. If you want to get on the couch and talk, you can, or if you just want to talk, or if you want to share something to encourage people who may be feeling like they need to be on the couch. That's what we do for Thursday Therapy. I know I want to talk about something very quickly in the game, and that is, let's see, where's it at? I want to, my notes. I'm looking for my notes. Here it is. Okay. And I just want to throw this out there to you guys. How do you all feel about, and I'm going to use a word here that CIG uses. Do you feel that you are burning out with Star Citizen? I'm going to say burning out. Before I talk about this other thing, let me say that. Do you feel that CitizenCon this year is a turning point for you? Because I've been hearing people make this statement that if they don't do this, and this, I think I might be done, or I might take a break, or I'm through with Star Citizen. And I'd like to know what you guys think. And you can put it in chat. You don't have to necessarily come into the Discord. If you want to come into Discord, you're welcome to do it. Just click on the link. I'll come in and talk to you about it because I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. But I am curious. Let's see. The prisoner says, no, I'm excited for it. Okay, you're excited. Is there anything in particular, prisoner, that you are excited about or for? Is there anything in particular that really is the thing that for you is, this is why you think things are going in a good direction or positive direction? Okay. It's like anything, interest wanes for anything. True. Yes, people's interest does wane. You know, the reason why I'm asking this question is because CIG is at a turning point, right? I mean, this is the 2013, the pitch went out in 2012. CIG started working on stuff literally 10 years ago. That was when things kind of, because it was October of 2012. So, you know, things started kicking off right in 2013, 10 years ago. Within 3 years of that, they built out the studio with about 200 people, 300 people. Things started rolling. They consolidated things. Yeah, it's been a little bit of a road here. Let's see. Yo-Yo says, I'm too fresh in the game to be burnt out, but I do get bored at times. Yes, CitizenCon is most likely going to be hyped to hype me up even more about the game, getting to be around people who are also excited for the game in the current state and for the future. Yeah, that's a good point, Meg. Yeah. Yeah, you can get times where things can get boring. You find things that you want to do that keep you going in the game. It's also good to take a break from the game, like any game, right? You know, sometimes we get so used to feeling like we have to be playing the game, and that isn't necessarily the case. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to stop. It's okay to say, hey, I'll come back when the next patch is out. You know, this being in the game all the time is not for everybody. Believe me, it's not. Let's see. First time Twitch chat. Twitch Wetsuit, hey, thank you for stopping by. I'm still enjoying trying out the different loops. I'm looking forward to see how cargo factoring is going to be implemented. Yeah, that's a good point, Twitch. If you don't mind me asking, Twitch, drop in there for me. How long have you been following Star Citizen, or how long have you been playing Star Citizen? Because you say you're testing out some of the loops. Fast Cart. I see content creators saying they'll be quote unquote done more than the typical backer, especially ones whose primary income comes from streaming. Yeah, it's tough. If you're a content creator, it can be tough. You know, if you're trying to keep up with the latest in Star Citizen and fresh and new stuff that comes out, and if nothing new comes out, yeah, that could be a little frustrating. It can be. There, as you know, Fast Cart, there are plenty of content creators we know that have come and gone. There are very few who are still here after all the many years that we've been in this game. But there are some people who have held on. There's some people who've diversified, right? They become variety streamers. They stream other stuff. They still may stream Star Citizen from time to time. Then there are some of them that I know that have they don't even stream Star Citizen anymore. They're streaming other games. So it's kind of a mixed bag out there, right? The Prisoner, January 2014 backer here. Okay. Prisoner, you've been around a good while too. You've been around a good amount of time. If you put in that much time, it's been 9 years. That's a good amount of time. Twitch, I see you've been around old school, 2012. You've been around since the beginning. And if you're still able to find things to keep you going, that's pretty good. There's a lot of people, they've been around 5 years and that's it. They're done. They're done. So if you're still coming after all that time, that's pretty good. Prisoner says, when I played games with a sub fee, I thought I had to play to get my money's worth. Yeah, there is that feeling. I was a big subscriber of ESO, and I really felt bad because there would be months. I mean, there was one point I didn't even know the subscription was still running. It had been running for like a year and 2 months. And I went back to ESO because some friends went back into it. I ran into some people who wanted to play it. And I said, oh, I haven't played it in a while. And I had all these credits and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, this game's been sitting here. And I've been paying $15 a month for this thing for a year and didn't do it. But then once I got back into it, I felt like because I was paying for it, I needed to get my money's worth out of it. And that was kind of a bittersweet thing. In a way, it reminded me to play it. But at the same time, as my interest waned, it still took me like about 3 months before I finally discontinued the subscription after I stopped playing it again. It's weird. Meg says, I definitely don't think I'll ever be done. There are people who brought this game into a different state. Yep. Different state. I think those who bought it more recently are more likely to leave for other games. Those who have been here longer have more patience for the dream to come back. Yeah. Going to be closer. Yeah, it is closer and closer to the dream, Meg. And you know, it's that almost becomes a meme though, right? It's like every year, if you've been around here any length of time, it's like this year's the year, you know, next year's the year, this summer is the year, this CitizenCon is the one. And I think about maybe 4 years ago, before COVID, that started to go away. People started saying, okay, we're not going to say that anymore. We used to, back in the day, Meg, we used to have a statement that was called the Jesus patch. And it was supposed to be that patch that came out that fixed all of our problems, right? And we thought at one point it was when Socks was there and iCash. They were all supposed to be, oh, once that comes out, everything's going to be fixed. And yeah, we don't talk about Jesus no more, okay? That's gone. We just say, well, we hope the next patch. That's about as far as it goes now. But there are people on both sides of the camp. There are people who play new, who are new to the game, who, you know, they play it and it's like, okay, it's not finished. There are old timers who are in here, it's not finished, right? And they may play for a short period of time and then that's it. And then there are new people like yourself and other people who've been around a long time, like myself, who still find ways to play the game, even though the game is limited and everything's not in there yet, right? We still find ways to do it. Thank you, Twitch, for the 100 bits. Truly appreciate that. Thank you. I'm trying to see where we left off at. The Prisoner, Fast Carl. Yeah, I'll stop streaming. Yeah. Yeah, you know, we did a show a while back, and I've been wanting to do something. I don't know. We did a little dedication to streamers back in the day. People like Sergeant Gamble and Greyhead Gamer and just a whole bunch of different folks who were the people that we watched in the early days. And it was really kind of cool but the sad part about it was probably 90% of the people that we did that salute to, they're not even streaming anymore, let alone streaming Star Citizen. A lot of them aren't even streaming anymore. Prisoner, thank you for the 100 bits as well. Thank you so much. Which is sad. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's some of it is just real life, right? People have families, kids, school. Maybe when they started, they were single. Now they're dating or they're married. So there's a lot of reasons. Work, right? Streaming is not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of work if you're doing it in a way that is beyond recreation. Now, if you're like me, I'm just out here. I'm enjoying the community. I'm having a great time with it. But this is not paying my electric bill, But for people who are trying to get to a place where streaming is taking care of their family or their college debt, whatever the case may be, or helping them survive, it's a lot of work. And the problem is that it's inconsistent work. You could have a great month or a great set of video. You have a video that gets 1 million views, and your next video that comes out gets no more than 100 views. There's no promise to any of that. So it's a very volatile. It can be lucrative, but it's also very volatile. Very volatile. You have to stay on your A game with streaming. You have to be dedicated. You have to be willing to put in the time. You have to have some form of personality, I guess, too, for people to come back and watch you, because it is a form of entertainment. And so it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing, for people who do it. It's rough. Let's see. I've been getting my money. Let me go back a little bit. Stop streaming altogether. Okay, yeah. Squadron 42 will be great, too, but I worry about the hype will die after its release. Yeah, Meg, we could say that about anything. And what I mean by that is, you're right. I'm not saying you're not right. I'm saying you're right. Sometimes hype gets built up to such a point that it doesn't carry beyond, right? Like, and I'm not picking on this game by any means, but there was so much hype about Cyberpunk, right? So much hype. And maybe if it had a more successful launch, you'd hear more about it still. I know they just had a new patch come out. They've had a couple. But because Cyberpunk didn't deliver some of the things that were expected for it, the launch wasn't that great. There was difficulty on different platforms. People really wanted some form of multiplayer. It maybe people would still be buzzing about it. So I'm not sure if it's because of the game didn't deliver. And unfortunately, that's what happens with a lot of games. Starfield, we talked about that at the beginning of the show, is something that people are looking forward to. The question is, a month later when CitizenCon comes, will we be still talking about Starfield? Not saying that we won't. I'm just saying I'm curious what the conversation will be. Will the conversation be, man, I'm having a great time in this game, but it's tough, or man, I'm having a great time in this game and I want more. I mean, where will we be? Will we be like, man, I thought it's not what I thought it was going to be? It'll be interesting to see come holiday season, Christmas time. They do have a DLC set up for Starfield. So if that kicks in, that will probably help continue people being interested in it. Depending on how the game ends will be a factor. Replayability will be a factor. But yeah, we'll have to see. And Star Citizen is going to be the same way. Squadron, I should say. The difference with Squadron, though, is that Squadron is designed so that when you play it, when you come out of it, it's designed to launch us into the persistent universe, into Star Citizen. So we may not be talking about Squadron anymore, other than the great time we had in it, because we've moved from that into the persistent universe. But then again, will Squadron 42 have some playability issues? In other words, I can go back and play it 3 or 4 times, which Chris's games have been known for, and have different endings and different outcomes. Maybe I didn't like the outcome when I played it the first time. Let me go back and play it again and get a different outcome. Maybe I thought I wanted to be in the UEE military, but instead I want to be a civilian, or vice versa. Maybe I played it at such an easy level that it was like, man, I just ended up being a civilian. I really wanted to be in the Navy. Let me go back and play it again, and it plays out differently. We'll have to see. We'll have to see where the game goes with that. Let's see. Twitch says he takes breaks periodically. That's good. That's good for mental health and everything else. BBG, thank you so much. 1,000 bits. Thank you. Really appreciate that. I hope you're having a good day, buddy. Twitch says takes breaks periodically. Been getting money. You've been getting your money out of it all these years. That's good, Twitch. Twitch, I'm one of those people too. I have a decent amount of money, into Star Citizen. And people have asked me, do you feel like you've gotten your money's worth out of it? And the answer for me is yes. Me getting my money out of this game has so much more to do with not I have all my ships as much as it is my experiences and my experiences with the community, my experiences of going to CitizenCon, experiences going to VerseCon, my experiences is going to Bar Citizens locally, my experience with hosting Bar Citizens, my experiences with virtual Bar Citizens, my experience with Soul Citizens, all of that is all combined into my investment, my support for this project. And so out of 10 years of being in here, yeah, I've gotten my money's worth. I have. And if I get more stuff, it's even better. But I've gotten my money's worth too. Let's see. I like to call it the Holy Ghost patch. Yeah, the Holy Ghost patch. Yeah, I know. I think the Jesus patch gained prevalence after 3.0. Yeah, that's correct. Correct, Fast Car. Or just before, due to the long wait and hype. Yeah, absolutely. And back to that time, man, there was a period of time where 30Ks were horrendous. I mean, they were really bad. And people just wanted that to get fixed so bad. And it was years later before it finally was. Gray pops up off and on. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. He's really doing a lot of stuff with family, which is one of the reasons why we don't see him as much. But every once in a while, I'll catch him and I'll stop by and see him and throw a sub at him or something like that. Because Gray was one of those people who I watched who in the beginning really did stuff. When he used to do stuff in CryEngine and replicate the ships, I loved watching him do that. So I miss Gray Gamer. I met him first time in VerseCon in 2017. He's a really sweet guy. It could take a year or more to get a audience. Yeah, a decent sized audience. Yeah, it does. You really have to stick to it, and you can't be you can't get disappointed, because I think sometimes you could have a really good week, right? You could have something where a lot of people come in and watch you and everything. You're like, oh man, last week I had 15 people. This week I had 50 people. And then next thing you know, the next week you go down to 9 people, right? You have to teach, my philosophy about streaming is a stream is if you have 1,000 people watching you, if it's just 10 people there, if it's 5 people there. When I open my show, sometimes I start my show up, it says 1. And the reason it says 1 is because I have it running on my phone. There's nobody here. And but I start my show up as if there's 100 people in the room. That's what you have to do. You really have to be dedicated to doing streaming. Right, Yo-Yo? You gotta hang in there. Let's see. Continued and now broken. Yeah, 3.0. Yeah, right, Fast Cart. You're right. Especially single player games, Stalker 2 hype. Yeah. You're at work. OBBG, cool. Yeah, at work. Thank you, man. I appreciate your support. I really do. I want to have a no wingman plays dies. Yeah, wow. That would be kind of tough, Fast Cart. That would be pretty tough. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see, and again, that's why I asked that question about CitizenCon. How do you guys feel about it? Is CitizenCon a deal breaker for you or a deal maker for you? It will, do you think CitizenCon will have something that literally gives you that energy to say, I can go another year, Or do you think it's just going to be some demonstrations of stuff that you've already seen or a variation thereof? And, are you managing your expectations? Are you managing expectations? I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like expecting the world, but my expectations is that it's going to be a good event. That's my expectations. I believe that CIG is going to put on a really good event. And I think it's because they have to. Now that I have no insider information. And when I say they have to, I'm saying that if we look at what's been going on in the community, in development, time that has passed, progress that we've seen, that it is going to be important for CIG to show not just the Star Citizen community, but even the industry, that they have made a really good leap in progress. And they also need to make their community happy. You know, they know they know the community for the most part is okay, but they also know that a lot of the community is not happy. And I'm not talking about content creators or anything else. I'm talking about the players of the game who are kind of holding on and hanging on. And they need that jolt in the arm that says that all the waiting and the bugs and the 30Ks and the 318 launches and everything else are worth it. You know, once that it'll be like, okay, you know, I think that's where things are right now. Twitch, I'm not excited for CitizenCon, as it's normally a show of pipe dreams that we don't get for years at all, if at all, but still actively support the game and the dream of the game. You know, I would agree a little bit with you, Twitch, on that, and I would disagree a little bit, and I'll tell you why. I definitely agree with you on years 2013 through 2017, 2018. 2017. 18. Yeah. I'd say 2017. And the reason why, thank you, Prisoner, for that sub. Was that sub? No, that was Arforxa. Arforxa? I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Arforxa, thank you. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. I'm sorry I'm not pronouncing it right, so please forgive me. Araxa. Oh, Araxa. Thank you. You know, people put 4 in just to, you know what I mean. Forgive me for that. Araxa, thank you. The reason why I'm pushing back is this. We talked about this. We did a show not too long ago called Dreams, Visions, and Reality. And or Visions, Dreams, and Reality. And what we said was that there was this thing that in the beginning, everything was about Chris's vision, right? And we would see things, and we used, for example, the whole 2016 sandworm thing, right? And the sandworm was a demonstration of concept. And it was never intended to be, this is what's coming out next. It was, this is what we want to do. And I think as gamers, including myself, when we left there that day, we thought that was coming around the corner, because CIG was notorious for, if you remember, Twitch, they used to drop patches the day of the con. Remember, you'd be at CitizenCon and it would wrap up at the end and they said, just so you'll know, 3.so-and-so is live now. You can go download it, right? They used to get everybody all pumped up, right? And then you were always looking forward to like that next patch, like the beginning of the year. You knew something, we're getting ready to go into what we saw CitizenCon is going to implement, and it would never happen. And I think that was us doing that. Now, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of times Chris would say shortly, near future, within the next year. Yeah, it did make us think some things were coming, right? So I agree with you 100%. What my disagreement with you is that it's been slowly switching. And instead of the long-term stuff, like if we had been paying attention, I'm not going to say we, if I had been paying attention, I would have noted that when that video started with the sandworm, in the bottom left corner, it said Lear 3. And if I had been paying attention to my lore and I looked in the star map and saw where Lear was, I would see Lear ain't nowhere near Stanton. And since it ain't nowhere near Stanton, this ain't coming no time soon, right? That would have been the 1 + 1 = 2. But I didn't do that. I didn't look. I just saw the sandworm, Dune fired off in my head, the Tusken Raiders up on the mountain fired off, and I was ready to go. I was ready. And lo and behold, didn't happen, right? But then what happened was when we get to 2019, just to show you how it progressed from 2016 and 2019, in 2019, that was when they showed us Microtech. It was when they showed us the Valkyrie. It was when they gave us the Valkyrie, right? It was stuff that was now ready to go. They changed into ready to fly much more. And then we got Microtech, and within a year, we went from having the planet to being able to land, to go down, to do things. We still don't have the NPCs that board our ship, but we did get that. We got the Carrack, right? So we started moving more toward this is where we are versus this is what we want to do. Now, there's still some of that. Don't get me wrong. There's still a lot of the vision. And I've recently become more and more aware of how much of Chris's vision we're not aware of. There's a lot of stuff we don't know. I still think that if we're seeing 30 to 40% of what this project is, I don't think we're seeing over 50% of what this project is. That's just me. That's just me. There's so much they can do. And, you know, there are careers we know about, but we don't know the depth of those careers. Like when we were doing mining, I thought that when we were doing mining, we were going to be doing the lasers. I was satisfied with that. And then they came up with the consumables. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool, you know. And then they came up with there was something else they added. Oh, the different heads and stuff. Okay, that's cool. But then they came up with the mining gadgets. Then they came up with these other things that you put in. And, you know, then now they're going to have the filtering dynamic. There's the refining. I mean, all these other things that had expanded much further on. If they do that same level of expansion with, you know, other areas of mining and salvage, if they do that in other areas when it comes to gameplay, such as black market stuff and mercenary stuff, if they continue to do that, God only knows where they're going to go. We haven't even touched on it. I know this is kind of a weird thing. Eminence, good to see you. Thank you for that follow. Thank you. You know, one of the things we haven't talked about that they don't even talk about very much is exploration. What is exploration in Star Citizen? You know, I know we all have our idea what we think exploration is. Oh, when I get my Connie, I'm going to go out and do blah, 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 blah. We still don't know what that means. We honestly don't. What we do know is that we're going to be traveling. We know that part. We're in agreement on that. But I have no idea what the exploration mechanic is going to be. What is science going to be in this game? What is crafting? What can I craft? They just recently, I was listening to Super Mac Brother today. They're going to add ice mining in now, which is, they hadn't talked about that. We were in Eve. Those of us who did that was fine. It makes sense because if you did Eve, you know ice mining is important. If you want to be able to reproduce and do oxygen and stuff like that at bases and stuff, ice mining is going to be crucial. But they never said anything about ice mining before. And God only knows what else they're going to come up with for ice mining. Now, is there ice mining? Does that mean that now there's going to be some mechanic that says once you get that ice, you've got something that processes it into oxygen? You know, or is it just you're just going to go sell it somewhere or deliver it? I mean, there's so much more they can do. So to me, the idea of CitizenCon is shifted. There's still some vision in there. It's also mixed in with this is where we are, this is what we're going to do. And then there's also the third part, which is this is what we want to put into your hands. You know, we're moving away from proof of concept. Part of alpha is putting things into game to see how they work, not to see if they work. Some things are, don't get me wrong, there is a see if, but there's also see how it works. How do we as a community respond to it? Do we use the mechanic? Are we interested? They may think it's the greatest thing next to sliced bread when they put it in there, only to find out that we could care less about it, right? That happened with salvaging. People started doing salvaging, and at first everybody was pumped up about salvaging. Then when they put cargo and components in the ships, people stopped salvaging and would just go to the wreck and pull the components and stuff out and say, I'll make more money just doing this 5 minutes pulling these boxes off than I will 40 minutes scrapping this ship. That's proof of concept. Now they got to go back and say, okay, how do we make this work? Does this really work? So they ended up introducing salvage missions, which pay out very well. And they also make a randomness about the boxes now. The boxes may be there, they may not be. Maybe you have to be at a certain level. They have to keep doing that. That's all a part of the development process, right? And so, anyway, I don't want to belabor that point, but I think CitizenCon is offering vision, you know, reality, and dreams still. I think those three things are there. But we need to manage all of them. We really do, because the players can put themselves in the freaking mental institution if they don't. Anyway, let's see what else. Bladestone, good to see you, buddy. How are you? Yeah, you know what? Prisoner CIG, have they talked about comets? They haven't. They've talked about astronomical events and things happening. There is something in the lore, not about comets necessarily, but about meteors. And In the description for the Endeavor, some of you may know this. You all know that the Endeavor is not the Endeavor. MISC ships are a collaboration between human and Geon technologies, right? And one of the things that MISC ships are known for more than anything is their durability, that they're tough ships. They're one of the reasons why you see them designed the way they are with the chrome and the steel, is that they're supposed to be very, very strong armor to their ships. And if you read the description on the Endeavor, it talks about that it is designed to take hits from meteor showers. Now that's no joke if it can do that. And if they make it so it can do that, it's even more or less of a joke. But my point is, you asked about comments, and I'm saying they have implied that there will be phenomenon in space that can happen, and I'm going to assume that if there's something like a meteors that could happen randomly, why not have a comet that shoots through a system or something like that? That, we're talking later on embellishment and everything else that's going on with that. It's not going to be a priority, probably. Just like meteors probably won't be a priority. But they have mentioned things like that being in the verse. Let's see. Yeah, I know there have been some leaks going on, and nothing that we haven't seen per se. I don't think. I think most of it is stuff that we've seen. You guys know the whole C is out. That's being tested right now. Yeah, the whole C's out. It looks beautiful. I mean, they've showed us the whole C, the new design on it, and I love the fact that they did do a rework on it, because there has been some concern about whether Midships will get the look that the whole A has, because you guys know how the freelancers look, and there's a lot of people who they like the freelancer, but I was never a big MISC design person, but I will say this: I love the rework, the way they did the cockpit and everything in the Hull A, and I really hope CIG carries that over into all their ships, that all their ships look that way. I know that the Hull C, when they showed us images of it, it's got that new look to it, the new design, both internally, and I don't know, but I don't remember if they showed us the cockpit or not, but I know externally it's got that new design look. And I'm hoping that the Odyssey has it, the Endeavor has it, and I hope they go back and do the Freelancer series and give them that same new look, because it's a really nice look. Let's see. Most things shown in CitizenCon were added to the game over the year after. Yeah, Rock, a lot of stuff has been put in. There's some things that, again, some stuff was proof of concept. They wanted us to get an idea of where where Chris wants to go, to give us an idea of what the game ultimately should be. And there are a lot of things, like you said, that come into the game within a year or two, we get them in the game. Wormholes were showed years ago, nothing yet. Yeah, but I'm okay with them taking, yeah, we don't have the wormholes yet. We saw those back 3 years ago, when we saw the first time they went into Pyro, and they didn't even use a wormhole then. It was actually a gate. They did a wormhole, but it was a manufactured. You guys know about Stargates, right? Okay. So in Star Citizen, I've seen two things, and I'm still trying to figure out which one CIG is going to do, or if they're going to do both. They showed us the first time when the Carrack went through a Stargate, which is a portal that's designed to stabilize a wormhole, right? That's the thing. But then they showed us later Pyro, when Jax went to it a year later. And when Jax went there, he went into the astrological phenomenon, the big cloud, where we saw the big swirl, like on Deep Space Nine, right? And I've always been wondering, will there be both? Will they have natural phenomenon, and then maybe phenomenon that is something that the UEE puts up in an area for temporary reasons to stabilize a whole, or maybe it's just there permanently, I don't know. But I am curious to see what they're going to do with that, Yeah, you remember Stargate Prisoner? Yeah, the TV show. Yeah. Okay. All right, well, that's going to be our discussion for Thursday Therapy. We got to do some therapy with each other and calm each other down about CitizenCon and our expectations. In 2016, they showed a wormhole. When did they do that? When they talked about navigating it. I remember them talking about navigating it. I just don't remember them showing us one. Yeah, 2017 I remember, but not 2016. 2016 was the year we went to Lear 3. Yeah, that was 2017, prisoner. Your time machine, you gotta set your clock on the right dial there. Yeah, that was 2017. 2016 was Lear 3 with the worm. Yeah, when she was navigating it at CitizenCon, she was hollering while she was going through it. Yeah, I remember that. That was good stuff. Ah, close enough. There you go. Close enough. You're right. Your memory's good. If nothing else, you remember the event. That's all that matters. Yeah. So, all right, gang. Well, listen, thank you guys so much for being here today. You guys are always awesome. Always great conversation about stuff. What was I going to tell you? This week, if you guys are free tonight, make sure that you drop by and check out Soul Talk with the Soul Citizens. Fast Card's here right now, but he's going to be hosting that show tonight. As always, he's going to be covering all the cool things in Star Citizen, and also talking about Machinima. They always do a great Machinima. They did a great one last week. He did an old throwback Machinima last week, which we hadn't seen in a long time, and I actually want to go back and watch it because the bucket was the blockheads. What was it called? Fast Card. Blockheads. I think it's the blockheads. Bulkheads. Thank you. Okay, and you're gonna do Bulkheads 2 tonight. Okay, cool. All right, yeah. If you guys haven't seen the Bulkheads, this is one of the earliest CIG community machinimas that was done, and it was really, really good. I mean, it was really good, and it was done in CryEngine. If you've never seen it before, I'm trust me.
My way up to
check it out. Hang on a second. I got somebody talking here in the background. Check it out. Trust me, you will really, really enjoy it. It's kind of like an offbeat humor thing. But there were a lot of people in the community that were doing, like now, we're doing the voiceovers for it. People like Meyer. I can't think of what the other guy's name was, but they had a bunch of people that were notable content creators who also were people who did voiceover work on the side. And Fiendish Feather got these folks together and they did this stuff, and it was really, really good. So if you get time to check them out, I'm trust me, you will really, really enjoy it. Let's see. And then after that, this Sunday, we're doing a show called The Future of AI on Soul Citizens. So make sure you guys check that out, because we're going to be talking about all that stuff like blades and robots and NPCs and all that, all that kind of stuff. We're going to be talking about Grakis. Thank you, Gladestone. That was the name I was trying to think of that was in there. Grakis was one of the voices also. He used to do a lot of cartoon animation voiceover stuff. He's a really cool guy. Haven't seen him in a good while, but he was definitely out there doing some stuff as well. All righty, we are going to get you guys set up for a raid. Again, thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to follow me on social media, on Twitter. I think I'm on Instagram, but I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook too, if you want to follow me there. Thank you for everybody who threw in some comments and stuff. Those of you who followed today, please, I don't take it for granted. I appreciate you guys following, for being here. And for those of you who threw bits at me and subscribe, thank you guys for that too, because it helps. Every little bit helps, as always. I'm a retired guy, so thank you. You're helping me in my retirement. Anyway, I'm going to get ready to run. Thank you guys again for being here. Don't forget to follow me. Oh, follow me on YouTube. That's the other place. If you don't get to see these shows, you'll get to see them on YouTube. They always come on within 24 hours there, okay? As always, take care of yourself. Stay safe. Peace, love, and soul. We'll see you guys soon. Take care. Ciao.